talking on the self and the other in the Marchioness of Fronteira's diary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Are you listening and seeing the PowerPoint? I hope.
Yes, we can listen very well and we can see the PowerPoint as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to congratulate the organization of the Congress and also the speakers for the excellent, stimulating exchange of ideas. And I'm going to begin. In 2001, the year in which the events of 9/11 changed world history, Alejandro Amenabar's film Los Otros, The Others, premiered. The thriller film tells the story of a family who lived in the haunted house. In the end, it turns out that the ghosts are themselves. Starting my presentation talking about this film is not just about holding your attention. It helps us to reflect how the self-construction is dependent of the other's view. Self is a social construction which arises from the social experience. Human beings chase external approval, designed to belong and to be accepted by others. Relations between the self and the other allow the construction of identity. This concept is defined by the idea we have of ourselves and the recognition of others. It is a relational and social dynamic in which social representations allow the definitions of identities. Cultural studies have emphasized the importance of the way researchers position themselves in relation to their study object and how this object is positioned in its historical context. Positionality is also closely related to the relation between self and space. Who I am is also defined by where I am. The space where I am conditions my identity, becoming subjective. Places must be understood as dynamic and organizational elements of society. Travelogues are an important source of addressing these questions. They, they are autobiographical writings which reflects the self-identity of the author's voice and his own truth. Besides, travel helps direct contact with the other, the foreigner, whether private individuals or another culture. Our aim is to analyze the diary of Marquesa de Fronteira in this perspective, understanding and characterizing the self-construction from the contact with the other. However, before starting, it is important to define the importance of this diary in the context in which it was produced and to present its author and the diary itself. The autobiographical production was possible with the increase of literacy of the Portuguese elites in the 19th century. It was a trait of distinction and symbolic power to write correspondence or diaries. Romanticism valued the individual in the emotions, which allow intimate writing. Few women's diaries are known in Portugal. Gender studies and historiography about women have shown little interest in family archives until now. One of these exceptions is one of the seventh Marquesa de Fronteira, Dona Maria Constança da Câmara. Maria was born in 1801. Her father was a landlord and mayor, and her mother was granddaughter of aristocrats. Maria and her parents belonging to the ancient nobility of the Kingdom of Portugal, but not exactly to the court society. Social ascension took place with her marriage in 1821 with the Marquês de Fronteira. He was grandson of the writer Marquesa da Lorna. He was also a military officer, deputy, peer, Lisbon civil governor, president of Council of Ministers, and Lord Chamberlain to the Queen Stephanie. His memoirs were published after his death. The Portuguese Liberal Revolution of 1820 dictated the couple's exile from the country twice, because the Marquis was a constitutionalist. The first was between 1823 and 1826, the second from 1828, when the absolutist Dom Miguel became queen, until the end of the Civil War in 1833. It was on her return on the first date that Maria, then with 25 years old and already a mother, began her diary. She recorded her daily life between 1826 and 1842 over 4 volumes. It's mainly a travelogue through several kingdoms and countries in Europe. Privileged observer of political, social, and cultural events in Europe at the time, namely the political revolutions inherited the Enlightenment. She contacts with new and diverse realities. You will find what Margot Irvine highlights in the Women's Travel Diaries, the picturesque social exploration, women and everyday life in a natural and free way of writing. Despite exiled, the couple maintained their usual way of life as members of the court society. Although they expressed some concerns about their expense, they continued with their walks in gardens, visits to museums and palaces, frequented spas and beaches for therapeutic baths, attended opera and ballet shows, spent evenings at other aristocratic homes, having dinner, dancing at balls, or simply playing cards, singing and playing opera arias, and returning their visits. They were received by the ruling dynasty of Tuscany, a right provided by birth privilege. In this quote, she describes the ducal family. She highlights the quality expected from a ruling family, the friendliness, the serious looking, and distinction of its members more than their physical beauty. The preservation of this privileged status and the symbolic power associated with it wasn't dependent on the place where they were. The habits and lifestyle of the European aristocracy remained the same, what Anderson called solidarity of trans-estate character. Although the consciousness of belonging to an imagined community, such as the aristocracy, could not exist, Marie had the notion of who belongs or not from the other's observation. When she was in Wiesbaden, she concludes that there were no aristocracy, but just elements of the high bourgeoisie. The same happens with the observation of the popular classes. However, the most significant example occurs after her return to Portugal when visiting the place of Costa da Caparica on the south bank of the Tagus River. The observation of a social group produces some criticisms when nationality is considered, being more accentuated in relation to the non-European aristocracy. Maria met the former king of Algiers and his entourage at one Tuscan court ball, where they lived in exile, making some negative comments on them. It is her vision as a Christian and European inserted in a colonial culture that criticized the inaccurate etiquettes of her peers. The observation of the European aristocracy allows some criticism, both positive and negative. Regarding the English, she makes some positive comments praising their good taste, polite manners, and elegance. She admires the care in preserving their properties and is disappointed finding English women with ordinary features. She has a preconceived image of what an old English woman looks like. However, she considers that they are constantly looking for foreigners to invite them to their boring parties. Another negative comment is made regarding English habits and hobbies, as well as their marriage, concerning a former opera singer married to an Englishman. This quote is interesting because although it appears that there is a prejudice against actresses, the criticism is focused on those who decided to marry them. It is, however, when Maria talks about the way in which the English people display special objects that she expresses her opinion about a preference, praising this practice, but saying she doesn't have the patience to do so when traveling. Her impressions about French women are quite negative, considering them very ignorant. This opinion results from personal situations that made her angry. One of these women didn't know where Portugal was, and another one criticized Maria for her eating habits, leading the Marquise to say ironically that she had always had a cooker at home. Regarding Switzerland and its population, Maria says that it isn't a country that leaves good memories because of the sad atmosphere she experienced there due to the huge number of women on goiter and goofies. About Italians, she also makes some negative comments, namely when she claims to have met for the first time an Italian boy that she was considered pleasant. In fact, his polite manners made she think he was English. However, she praised the Italian habit of all women having their own chevalier servant, referring to the fact that the Marquise did not accompany her properly. It is the observation of the Italian habits that makes her reflect on her own condition. Her relationship with her husband makes her write some comments and express her feelings on the diary, which in certain passages takes on a confessional tone, revealing her husband's personality, such as his swinging moods. Some of the comments that Maria makes about him are related to gender issues. As in the example referring to the Chevalier Servant, her husband's absence affects her because social conventions don't allow her to carry on certain activities alone. She doesn't criticize social conventions, but her husband's behavior, whom she expected to attend her. She doesn't conceive the idea of transgressing the social conventions expected by a lady of her social status, but she expected that her husband, as a man and an aristocrat, obey them. Just once, this complaint about male behavior is generalized. When Maria was in London with her close friend, the Countess of Villaflor, she accused men of selfishness because their husbands made them wait in a carriage for more than an hour. Gender issues are also evident regarding women who transgress social roles. Maria describes a cross-dressed woman for having fought during the war. Although unusual, it was a unique case. Surprisingly, there is no value judgment in reporting this situation, but the fact that she writes about it reveals how odd she considers it. In contrast, value judgments are expressed when an English woman was talking with her husband. What initially appears to be an argument motivated by some jealousy, it's in the fact of disapproval, since the English woman started a political discussion. This situation is somehow absurd because Maria describes in her diary the Portuguese political situation and the other international political events such as wars and revolutions. However, while her political opinions are self-distinct in the privacy of her writing, the English woman gives her own opinion in public in the presence of the opposite sex. These examples show how the contact of difference provoked Maria's different types of reaction. They allow a glimpse of her personality, what captivates and disinterests her, the attention given to each situation, as well as her feelings, opinions, and judgments. The disagreement she had with the Italian Marquis Sampieri is a different situation. She belonged to the same gender, to the same social group as Maria. She only differs in nationality, but this fact is not mentioned, which leads us to suppose that Maria would see her as one of her peers. The reason of disagreement is unknown to Maria. Suddenly, Sampieri stops talking to her, generating incomprehension and incredulity. These feelings evolve to disdain. Maria convinces herself that the conflict doesn't affect her, but the attention given to the matter is significant. She even records the negative opinion of a Portuguese about the Italian, as if she was looking for external validation. Another clue is the description of the situation during a ball, in which Maria gets a better place than her opponent. This small victory is possible thanks to the importance of both the society of her time and herself give to the social status and the rigid protocol of the court society. Still, this feeling didn't stop her from being emotionally shaken. The situation ends with the farewell of Sampieri. Maria uses irony, saying that she will miss her. It's the first time that she explained her irony when this stylistic figure is recurrently used throughout her writing. She curses the fate of her gender, forced to socially hide her feelings, although the reason for dislike and anxiety doesn't show the difference in social status, nationality, or gender. This last issue is still present. Finally, she reveals some relief that this situation is solved, assuming the state of madness that it caused. In conclusion, this diary allows the analysis of Maria's authorial voice through the manifestation of her ideas, emotions, and the way she interacts with the other individuals. It's from these relationships that we can understand and draw a real portrait of her. First, there is an identification with the social group in which she belongs. Even in their condition as a political exile, Maria maintains her social status regardless of the kingdom she was in. By maintaining the aristocrat habits and behaviors, they reinforce the idea that this group was the same everywhere. There are some contrasts with the different nationalities she encounters. However, her individual experience shades or reinforces the preconceived ideas she had of different nationalities. The accentuation of difference is greater in the case of the non-Europeans, even if they have the same social status. It is significant the description of the pleasant Tuscan ducal family, in contrast to unmannered and bad-behaved Algerian king and his entourage. Such statements arise from the notion of European superiority resulting from a colonialist society, especially the Portuguese one. However, she doesn't shy away from calling savage the inhabitants of a place close to the capital of her own kingdom. Transgression draws her attention regarding gender roles. Maria makes no judgment about a woman cross-dressed, but strongly criticizes the one who openly talks about politics in the presence of men. Even when the gender roles difference directly affect her, Maria doesn't encourage the transgression of women's role. What she supports is that men and her husband should obey the established canon, behaving as expected. She only curses the woman's fate in the dispute with another woman and regarding their need to hide their feelings. More than social or political invisibility, it's the impossibility of the expression of her individuality as an emotional being that bothers her. Her writing allows her feelings expression and the only acceptable form of social and gender transgression. And thank you very much for your